Thank you very much, Wolf, and welcome back here to the analyst desk, where we're going to take a closer look at game number 2 between the big gods, of course, and Gale Force Esports. Now, it is a tie, 1-1, so it's going to come down to that decisive third game. Calder, was there anything that you liked more about Gale Force Esports in this second match?
In the second half of the game, I liked the way that they took the fights a lot better, especially Illidan, as we highlighted before the series started. A lot hinged on him, and I feel at the beginning of the game, they took a couple of fights where they were a little bit too aggressive. They just won too much. I feel they wanted to redeem themselves for the first series. They really wanted to get these early kills. They wanted to dominate, and the only thing they had to do is play it slow, play it safe, get these boys to 10, and then take it from there. And that's what they did then in the end. And we can hear their calls. It was really cool to hear that the entire time they were just like, especially Mike was trying to calm everybody down. Guys, stay calm, chill, we got this, like, take a step back right now. And the entire time, every time someone wanted to go in, it's like, go back, we got this, don't overreach. And that was the important part, I feel.
Yeah, he even was saying, like, once we get in late game, we get so much stronger, So he was saying the exact same thing, trying to keep everybody calm. It was cool.
And I'm sure we're having a lot of cool highlights from this game, because boy, were these team fights close and intense, JL.
Yeah, I think this is the part where things really started to turn around. It's almost the tale of two halves, but early on, we'll go ahead and pause it right here. Right here is where all the action is, and we're going to see the gravity laps. This is what kind of turned things over and over again. As we see, Crowan's going to come right in, throw that gravity laps up, followed up by the flame strike. Instantly, Zul knows he's going to die, so he throws out Poison Nova. He's like, I think this is going to be a tough fight. As you can see over and over again, the minute these gravity laps started to land later in the game, although Li Ming did get a reset on the bottom, it neutralized it, but it still worked out in Gale Force's favor.
I want to highlight overall Morris on this Li Ming. Boy, did he give them a tough time. That was incredible. I mean, so many times when we saw these fights, it was just really Li Ming obliterating Gale Force, hitting everything perfectly, getting a reset, getting a kill. Muriz, I feel, was the driving force. We highlighted other heroes in the first series, but for me personally, when we're looking at Big Gods, it was really Li Ming and Muriz on the hero that...
all game long.
Yeah, exactly, like, without fail. He was also the one that they usually try to target, because they said, once Li Ming is gone, we're good.
It looks like Li Ming proves to be the shining hero on both teams, right? Crowan as well on Gale Force Esports. It's going to be interesting to see in Game 3 whether there's going to be a race for Li Ming, because both teams really want to have it.
If you think about it, we mentioned before that they usually don't play Li Ming, and after seeing that, I'm like, why?
Why not?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's cool that they had maybe hidden that by not playing her at all. Just maybe it just didn't come up. It wasn't even trying to hide it. But the fact that they didn't have it, it was something that Gale Force tested, and it proved to work for them. But Murray still proved that he can play some Li Ming.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think we definitely have another highlight, because we mentioned those were some clutch team fights, JL.
There's one fight that I'm waiting for, and
team
I'm pretty sure you should.
Let's go ahead and pause it right here. Okay, this is where the entire team is on their back foot. And we have boom, 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 boom. They're in pursuit. But do you lead with Karazim? Do you lead with Karazim? And watch, let's go ahead and slow-mo replay this, because he's going to dive in. He's so far out. Let's just pause it.
That is exactly what I was talking about. That's the scene that I wanted to see again, because that was crazy.
His entire team. And then it did not stop there, Caldor. Let's go ahead. Karazim gets blown up here. Let's go ahead and move this a little bit forward.
Look at Li
Ming. As you
Ming.
can see. But Li Ming on the bottom side. Now, all right, pause it right here. You can see the little bit of green right there. The Ancestral already starting to come out onto Kron. So you're going to see that. And at that very moment, now let's go ahead and run it forward. It lands. And if this does not land, that is game over. But that does land. And Crowan returns it. And right there, pause one more time. Right here, this is the craziest fight that we had. Li Ming, because Kael'thas was able to stay alive, takes that down. Li Ming's going to fall. Let's go ahead and move it forward. But Li Ming fell there. It was just one thing after another, Caldor.
That fight was insane, because everything looked so good for Gale Force. Already, the reason why Gale Force moved back in the first place was that Wailing Arrow hit, and they moved back to wait that out. So there were 2 ults down at that moment, and then all of a sudden, Karazim is like, YOLO, it's in the middle of things. They're like, wait a second, we got this. So they turn around, and it was 2 hits that Li Ming hits perfectly. And basically, the first one drops them to half health, then the Seekers come in, then the second orb hits, and all of a sudden, it's just like everything dies. And they actually ended up trading 3-for-3, since Lunara got that kill.
Yeah, we were like, what?
The poison. The poison.
So yeah, but he was so low. We were like, what? Don't go back in. Oh, okay, I guess that worked out.
You could actually hear Lunara wanted to go after him, and could just hear Michael was like,
stay here.
No, go back. She's gonna die. She's gonna die. She's gonna die. Don't go in. And then bam, she's gone. So good.
And all of a sudden, we have a happy little conversation here on this cozy corner because these teams are just not backing away. They have constant team fights, a lot of good Heroes of the Storm action, and I think we can actually we can say that we are ready to move into game number 3 on Cursed Hollow. Let's actually see what these guys have in store for us. I'm loving the atmosphere here. It's not like, you know, for this team is going to nail it 2-1, 2-0, yeah, but this is really exciting right now.
And we are looking, of course, a lot of Gale Force, but again, travel problems or no travel problems, but Big Gods is currently showing here is amazing, especially if you consider that they got slaughtered at the spring finals. They got completely demolished. And what we're seeing right now is not only Gale Force maybe struggling a little bit more than we would have expected, but also Big Gods playing on a completely different level, and I'm loving it.
They did get slaughtered, but they were up against TNL too.
Yeah, but they also, I mean, they lost against GIA, I think.
It was 2-1 versus GIA.
Guys,
hey, look at that, guys.
About, will we see who's going to try and get first? Hello?
Focus.
But Cursed Hollow, you talk about poking the objective on the tribute. I don't think there's really anybody better than Li Ming already, so why not go ahead and first pick Li Ming?
Well, now at Big Gods, maybe they'll respond trying to get Kale Thos earlier on too, since they only have 2 picks, and they want to make sure they get somebody with some blow-up potential for Muris, but also looking at Rhaegar.
Yeah, Rhaegar might be locked in here. Calder, what do you think about that?
I mean, oftentimes, I would still expect like a Kel'Thas, but the thing is, oftentimes you don't really commit to Li Ming plus Kel'Thas, so they seem to be risking it here, and they're saying, okay, we're going to go for the Grey main first. You occasionally see Li Ming plus a Kel'Thas, but it's both like cooldown, it's ability-based and cooldown-based heroes. You don't really have any sustained damage there, so you can definitely run that, but oftentimes teams just like try to go for a bit of a combo between. So I would not be surprised if Gale Force actually lets it slide and just simply bans him out.
Yeah, I meant maybe Big Gods would be worried about it getting banned out, and then so that's maybe why they would try to pick it earlier on. But, of course, Muris also loves playing Greymane, and they're able to get Greymane this time.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they did pick up Greymane means that they know that they have Kael'thas as a safe fallback, and they knew that they could take Greymane out of the hands of somebody like Michael Udall, of course. And so now instantly, I think the draft in favor of Big Gods, but Falstad picked up. I mean, again, this falls right into Gale Force's predictability as far as their drafts go, but it's the second part of the draft, which is really going to make this a little bit different.
And right now, we should actually see Gale Force banning out the Kel'Thas once that it's their turn, because I'm not going to do that. They, of course, try to pick him up, but we said that they have a huge priority on Greymane, and they're showcasing that again. So I actually like what they are currently doing here, and I like that small gamble that they actually took, so that was a pretty smart move. For Gale Force, it's still a very solid draft that they have here. They could have Sonya ban here, wouldn't be bad for them. Leaves also, of course, a Thrall to be taken if they still want to, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Calder, they're not going for the Kael'Thas ban, they're going for a Zeratul ban, still having in mind from game number 1 what they are capable of doing with this hero.
Gilly, we talked about this last week at the regionals about how like the metas.
The
metas within the series. Inter-team metas.
Yeah, it's once you know if you guys are both focusing on certain heroes, namely Rhaegar. Rhaegar is one of them. Li Ming, those mages. That starts to become, goes higher and higher in priority, which is why we're seeing, first pick Li Ming, second pick right away getting their Rhaegar too.
Do you think that, okay, so when I looked at Gale Force's drafts, Uther isn't necessarily their strongest healer, but Big Gods didn't bother banning him out. Do you think that they're going to go with a comfort pick like Brightwing? We saw a lot of Kerosene play from Akka last week on Cursed Hollow. Or will they try and pick up Uther? And we see some different talents come out, especially at level 4, to get that extra range to get even more poke onto the tribute. I feel like there's so much in play right now for Gale Force, and I kind of wonder how that's going to fit into what their strategy is. They already have one global with Falstad.
Yeah, I don't know that the Brightwing's going to work again. Everything for Big Gods has been hinging on locking somebody down and blowing them up, which worked very well for them in game 1, and Brightwing she struggled with that, which is why we're seeing them go for Karzim instead.
If Brightwing, then I could have only seen Brightwing together with a Tyrande going for a double support with double interrupt against ETC Mosh Pit. But exactly, then you have that problem, so I prefer that Karazim pick as well. I really think this is a good choice here. It's also, by the way, interesting that because when for the ETCs, they have Thrall ETC as a bit of a combo that they can run here. Kael'Thas is still open and could be used, and they keep their own draft very flexible. The last one. And another interrupt here for Gale Force. Playing the Sylvanas can, of course, also use the silence then. Have a bit of push power with that too. Not quite what I expected here, but of course we know NA prioritizes Sylvanas a lot and loves to play it.
Yeah, they definitely equipped themselves with a lot of counters to potential ETC mosh pit there, the Wailing Arrow, the Mighty Gust, especially on Cursed Hollow where you have a lot of those narrow paths. Those can become quite tremendous.
I do worry about the fact that if Greymane gets that back line, and you could essentially say it's a triple back line outside of Kharazim, who's going to be bouncing back and forth, if Greymane gets back there and gets a reset or anything once they get to 10, I mean, I feel like he could absolutely wreak havoc. I mean, you could follow up on a Sunder, you could follow up on any type of mosh pit, even though that might be canceled out here, but I feel like Greymane against that back line of a Li Ming, of a Sylvanas, obviously Sylvanas has a little bit more mobility. I kind of wonder how that's going to play into Gale Force's strategy when they're looking at such an aggressive comp coming at them.
Yeah, I'm worried that that's going to happen, and even if he doesn't get a kill off of that, it distracts long enough that they spend a lot to take care of him, and then ETC just comes in with a mosh pit. Same as game number 1. So that is a little bit scary at the way Gale Force is done, but they do like these triple ranged styles. If we're not seeing Michael Udall play like a Thrall or a Sonya, then it's more into these triple backlines.
Beautiful
I'm really
draft.
worried now.
Yeah.
I feel like Gale Force really found their stride in game number 2 and really could like focus on their strength, and they are still overall, I feel, the better team. But I like this draft of Big Gods a lot. They have a Thrall in there. They have also Greymane that can always jump in. They can set up very good flanks for tribute fights, which with Thrall is absolutely important. If you have a good Thrall Sundering flank, then you can rip a backline apart. And especially if Greymane jumps in from the front too, and you have a Kel'Thas in the back just like saying like, hey boys, a couple of liver bones for everybody.
Do you
Think about bosses.
Do you think Li Ming in this instance is kind of, it almost kind of hurt their draft in the sense that they were forced to first pick Li Ming, allowing Greymane to get to the other side? Because normally you can almost trade off a Li Ming and a Kel'Thas. In a weird kind of sense is that they're both going to be on that back line and do a lot of damage. But the fact that they went on Li Ming opened up the draft for Greymane and whatever they wanted to go with on the other side for Big Gods, and that basically kind of forced Gale Force into another path. The fact that they had to first pick Li Ming to deny it.
I don't know if they even wanted Greymane, which might be still an issue for them, but it just did not work out for them in game number 1.
So this is probably the most exciting round for us to actually throw in our predictions, because it is all on the line for this series at least. But guys out there, if you just tuned in, do not worry, because the loser of this match has another chance to actually redeem themselves. So it's a double elimination bracket, but I just wanted to make this clear since it is the first best of 3 that we had. Calder, real quick, what is your prediction?
Better draft for Big Gods, they impress me. I say they take them enough 3.
All right, what about you, Gilly?
I will say that Gale Force, with their newfound, or at least they're feeling better, they're going to be able to take it.
All right.
I feel momentum is definitely on Gale Force's side. A little scary on the other side, but I am going to go with Gale Force this time around.
Right. I'm actually going to go with the Brazilian team here with the Big Gods, because let's be honest, it almost looks like a textbook composition. I mean, Thrall, ETC, KT, Rhaegar. I mean, it's almost made like a match made in heaven if you take a look at those team comps. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I now summon Dreadnought and Wolf once again to take you through game number 3.
Thank you very much, Kendrick. It is time, Dreadnought, for the last game of day number 1, the first series that went to game 3, the only one. Very fitting that this would be the last single game of the entire evening.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I agree a lot with what the panelists said about the compositions coming out from these teams. Greymane specifically, Gale Force is something that they don't play too often. They did pick the Li Ming, which Kron's very well known for, but it might have bit them in the butt a little bit here. You know, no Rhaegar joke intended there.
Well, you know, I do really wonder about this. Michael Udall is actually going to be playing Falstad this time.
Yes.
So a bit of a change, as Rafflecopter will be taking the Sylvanas role, so Mike Udall kind of taking the more carry type position here when it comes to damage from the back lines instead of the front lines this time.
Oh, I love this.
I think that what we owe an invade here at level 1, but it's going to actually not work out in their favor, as Big Gods are going to get to the tower first. Yeah. And this is really strong, obviously, with Sylvanas. And usually we see people do this at the beginning of the mid lane just so you can rotate to either one faster, like what Big Gods is doing, is what I'm referring to. But I think they should be able to get out of here no problem. And with Falstad, they can just go straight to the lane, and they don't even miss that mid-EXP.
Yeah, I really like the choice that Gale Force decided to split up the 4-man onto the upper half of the map, and then sending Sylvanas solo to bottom because she's one of the only heroes that can essentially do damage to the front wall by herself, right? She ate at that turret, so that's XP they'll be able to pick up a little bit earlier over Big Gods. So they got a minor advantage here. But again, you said how Big Gods got the mid lane, which makes the rotations a bit easier here.
Yeah. One thing I do want to point out is that on this map, Vera got again his comfort pick on Rhaegar, and Rhaegar is insanely powerful on this map specifically because of his sustain with his wolf builds. He's not actually going full wolf build this time, but just his ability to roam around the map between lanes and get heals and always be there. And even if he needs to go ahead and hearth home, just with his wolf movement speed, should he take that, getting back into the fight is a lot easier. So he's not a global presence, but he almost is.
Yeah, Big Gods have a lot of the composition they had originally. Good dwarf toss from Fury to be able to dodge the combo that we saw pretty much rip Gale Force apart when it came to game number 1 on Sky Temple.
Yeah. Just looking at everything else, we actually have an old school talent on Li Ming. Crone's going to take, God, I can't even remember what that one is called. It's Arcane, oh, what's it called? Astral Presence.
There you
Astral
go.
Presence. There we go. I got it. I knew it. And oh, look at the stun lockdowns here, and Fury is going to get blown up. But Astral Presence, of course, was nerfed right after Li Ming was released with S of Johan, and is a really powerful talent for just never going home and always poking. You're always going to have missiles if you take this talent, so they will be able to poke the tribute over and over and over again, with Triumvirate as well.
Yeah, and they have a lot of poke when it comes to the shrines, but they don't have too much kill potential. I feel like, false head.
He misses it over the wall, and he might just go down here. He certainly will. And that is 2 kills to none here for Big Gods, taking half a level lead.
Yeah, and both teams did end up capturing their giant camp at the appropriate time. Falsehead will be able to fly as well, so Falsehead's not in position to clear the Giants for free with that pickoff, so it's a really good position that Big Gods have gotten themselves into by getting that pick for their opponents. They're going to give it up. Gale Force isn't even going to contest.
That's a smart choice because they have Sylvanas, and Sylvanas can do a lot of damage on her own. She wasn't in position to do so, actually, though. It's kind of still rotating right now. Just seeing moves like that, like the uncharacteristic missed barrel roll from Mike Udall there, is something that we might see today, but I don't think that we're going to see later on in this group, just because obviously he just got here today. Yeah. He's still got his plane fingers, like not his sea legs, but his plane fingers. I don't know. He hasn't had much time to warm up yet, right? So small mechanical mistakes like this will happen today, probably not in the future.
Yeah, now Big Gods are able to get this fort because the positioning that Gale Force got themselves into after losing Mike Udall on the bottom half of the map, they do actually only gain a minor XP advantage because Gale Force has done a good job taking out the front walls on the rest of the map here.
Yeah, this was actually a huge win for Gale. Like, I think Big Gods almost kind of messed up. They got a fort, but they lost EXP in 2 lanes, while Gale almost got a fort and got EXP in 3 lanes.
Yeah, they essentially just didn't get that soak in the mid lane. If they had, they would have been in a really good situation, being the first to make the rotations and then get value on mid. But because they were late, now they did fall behind in that trade.
Yeah, really nicely done by Gale. I like their decision making here. Something that Sylvanas will allow you to do. Looks like Akaphase is going to go ahead and channel. Not going to happen though. Crowan a lot more flexible with his mana with that Astral Presence. He can just keep chucking out missiles and orbs. And Big God's on the wrong side of this. Very difficult to actually hard engage. They're just going to keep poking.
Yeah, and they get a little bit of harass from Mike Udall and Crowan onto the Li Ming here. Typhex is going to have a great opportunity to be able to get delays, though. Thrall is one of the better heroes when it comes to that.
But he was a bit late. Okay, just barely gets it. And this is going to be engaged. Fury is killed instantly here. And this is not good news for Gale Force. Looks like Murray's just going to go in all the way here. No extra kills beyond the kill on Fury. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike Udall with a sick juke here. But they will actually put themselves on curse point with this move.
Yeah, they are going to be losing this, and Sylvanas now falling down. Good power slide coming in to be able to get the zoning here.
Too greedy, I feel.
Yeah.
I think in this time, it's time to let it go. Don't be greedy. It's really unfortunate to be on curse point or be against curse point, but you have the heroes to split and soak, even with Sylvanas dead. Or rather, I should say, with Sylvanas dead, now you don't have that. But kind of do the same thing they did when they lost the top fort. It's like cut your losses.
Yes, yeah, I agree. A lot of it seems to Gale Force gets one person out of position, they get picked, and then it comes down to like how can you get your damage going, the damage control, and like minimize their losses as best as you possibly can. And it seems like they are struggling in that department here today. But they aren't losing in XP too much. Again, the 4 kills for Big Gods, even though Gale Force doesn't have them, they managed to maintain the XP with their opponents.
And this is actually one of the reasons why in Heroes of the Storm kills aren't everything, because oftentimes to get kills you have to rotate, which costs you.
He's going to be trapped.
Oh man, he
Good
is
night.
so dead. Well, speaking of kills, that's going to be the first one for Gale Force Esports. Fiora thought he'd be sneaky. Wasn't even Hearthing though. I'm not sure
want to
about
know
that
what
one.
his I don't know what his thought process is there. Like, if there was a Stitches on the team, like maybe, and like hiding in the horseshoe, but other than that, it gains no value sitting there. I don't know.
Maybe they were hoping. Maybe they were hoping they were going to hit 10 and they were just going to like collapse on that and fight it. I don't know. I can't find a good reason there, but he tried. Wasn't Hearthing. Strange situation. Level 10 is up actually for Gale Force first.
Yep.
And this will actually stop the curse.
Yeah, really good job. They zoned efficiently within the short period of time that they did have 10 advantage here. Now they're backing out, looking like they're going to be able to start their boss, but they're actually baiting it here. I like this choice here. Mikey Doll maybe showing a little bit too much, but this is going to hurt.
Oh, but they're all clumped up. Okay, nice Stormbolt there onto Beto. Oh, the Gust does hit 3. There's a mosh pit, but it's immediately interrupted, and Murray's out of position. Will at least grab a kill.
Yeah, that was a really good job being just out of range. Rafflecopter now falling as well. A lot of that came down to that Akaface was not able to get in range to be able to get the palm onto Crowan. I am surprised that Gale Force, when they were hiding that shrub, they knew their opponents were going to face check it, and they ran away when they did. Fury, though, as well, getting caught out.
So much damage being done, but Beto will actually go down. Akaface in the front lines here, up at the beginning, and actually will palm himself. It looks like Typex is going in, though, and down goes Mike Udall. And, you know, they did turn this around to a certain extent. They at least stopped the boss. But the next tribute is about to spawn, and this is still going to be a curse for Big Gods.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way that Gale Force Esports denies this. They do take the boss here. This is actually a really smart choice. This is a very smart choice.
This is, again, one of those cut your losses moments where there's nothing you can do about the tribute right away. Take this boss. And you know what? They may actually just... I don't think they're going to be able to interrupt this. If they maybe had sent Crow in, it would have been really greedy. But it looks like they're just going to have to let this trib go. They're going to rotate towards it, but there's no way to stop it.
So right now, Gale Force Esports definitely on the back foot for the most part. They do have the boss pushing on bottom, but again, without the curse, Fury dwarf tossing over the wall, Wave of Force trying to get the disengage here. But the curse is in favor of Big Gods for the time being. They're going to try and minimize or maximize their value out of this here. I don't know if they're going to be able to get too much other than just a couple of forts.
Yeah, and obviously with the boss going in the bot lane, that's kind of just something that's always in the back of your mind. Despite the fact that it's just going to be dealt with by minions and this wave because it's a curse boss. It's kind of annoying and minimizes the amount of damage that Big Gods can get. The next curse is going to be much more impactful. Looks like they will still pick up this bot fort. And the problem is they're not actually splitting to get the EXP, and it's going to be a boss invade for Gale Force. They're actually putting everything on the line here.
Yeah. They're doing a very risky choice here to try and get onto this, but it looks like it's going to pay off because Big Gods is not making any kind of rotation.
How risky is this really, though? Because they had vision of so many people on the opposite side of the map. They were nearby. I actually really, the more I think about it, this is not that risky.
One man should have been able to make that rotation. Like, that was, I agree with you in the sense that it was like, well, all of them committed, but there's no way that Big Gods show 5 people on the bottom half of the map and should not just expect they're going to go to our boss. That's the only map objective that exists, right?
I say it's not risky considering what is literally happening in game, but the thought process definitely is. Kind of a sloppy mistake by Big Gods to actually not have Beto over there checking this out.
Just anybody. It was pretty, I feel like, transparent, I guess. It was very well shown that it was going to happen here. But Beto goes in for the huge mosh pit, gets instantly interrupted.
Yeah, it's tough to actually make those work when Li Ming has Wave of Force, taking a lot of damage here. Good sundering, but the silence comes down, silencing nearly 5. Typex just barely ancestral there. Fury is going to go down. There's the sun, a beautiful palm onto himself by Akaface. Beto going for the chase, though, and it looks like that will be a kill. But Mike Udall gets one of his own. Crowan down at 60 health.
The reset.
Furious goes down. He gets a reset. Oh, the chain lightning will finish him off.
Yeah, and 2 people do end up going down. Michael Udall did get a lot of damage onto his opponents there as counter-engaged, even though all of these team fights seem to be starting terribly for Gale Force Esports, it feels like, in a lot of these situations.
That was all done without a gust as well.
Yeah.
Hard to believe, but this game is obviously still almost dead even. A slight EXP lead. 2 Big Gods currently, but Gale Force Esports, does have a lot of comeback potential here. They do have the tribute lead I not say comeback potential, but like ways to get ahead at this point in time. I'm saying like in 5 different ways that they're even at this point.
Yeah, they are. The mid-4's really the only thing that separates it, and then one tribute for Gale Force Esports here. But both of the teams backing out, getting a little bit of the camps. They might be able to take out the front wall turret here. But again, it's not a major lead for either of the teams here. As this goes on, though, I feel like Gale Force should be able to do a lot. A lot of it's going to come down to Crowan. I feel like his positioning has been very aggressive, to say the least. He's constantly been needing to kind of be babied when the hard CC comes in from Big Gods here. If he's able to clean that up, though, I feel like Gale Force is going to have more convincing of team fights than they did in the past.
Yeah. I mean, if things had just gone a little bit differently there, I mean, obviously he was at like 60 health. The resets could have given him so much value. Mike Udall's actually hiding in the bot lane, not showing that he's there, which is really smart because he could come and engage with a gust from behind. I think that's exactly what he's going to look for here.
He showed just to get the clear on Giants, and they're collapsing at this point. He's going to be trying to fly. He's not quite started it yet. This is going to be rough for him.
Oh, they're going to punish him as soon as he's shown. He actually has to waste his gust. Nice dodge on Jay Shritta's gravity lapse there, but he's still going to die.
That was worth. They just got a tribute and forced heroics from Big Gods. I'm going to take that any day in this type of situation. There's no boss up on the map quite yet for them to capitalize on. As long as they're able to walk away from the situation, which they should. Gale Force there, capitalizing on the 5-man rotations that you see from Big Gods.
Yeah, and this is actually going to be Curse Point at a much more valuable time than when Big Gods had it. We're, 12.5 minutes in, level 16 on the horizon here. And this is quite scary, in fact, for Big Gods, who continue to, as they say, death ball around the map. And they're getting punished for it because of the global presence of Falstad.
Just how, as they say, death ball.
As they say, like as it is on some forums on the internet, that people will describe this style of play.
It was weird. I only thought it was funny because I was literally about to describe their playstyle as a death ball.
It's a death ball.
If you can disrupt their death ball, like it seems like they can't do more than one thing.
Yeah.
Right? So, for instance, your opponent's going to be taking a boss. We can't delay and get sighted on our vision, right? When it comes to ganking Mike Udall, you can't interrupt a tribute. It feels like if the death ball has, it's a hive mind, right? Once it's set, it's not breaking. Everybody's on the same page, and that can be great for their team, but it also could be the downfall because, I mean, Cursed Hall is like, you have to be able to get multiple objectives, understand the circumstances perfectly.
So, looks like they're going to leave Thrall to grab the tribute. Wailing Arrow was wasted in that fight without getting any value. Fury up here in the front lines, right where he needs to be, though, and he's going to go ahead and force this engage. And the funny thing is, Beto, despite the fact that his positioning is always perfect, he can't really engage with Mosh that can't be their initiate because Crowan is never going to miss his wave of force. He hasn't yet, and it's just so hard to actually engage. Double stun going down. Beto is blown up instantly. I've never seen ETC die that fast in my life. And again, Li-Ming with the resets going in. Murray's taking a lot of damage. Here comes Mike Udall.
Great Sunder, though, splitting the C's there for the team of Gale Force Esports. But another blow up there. Crowan getting a lot of DPS onto his opponents. 2 are going to fall down here. Now, Gale Force Esports are the aggressors. It looks like they're posturing for the keep, which has taken a decent amount of damage, but we do have a replay.
Yeah, let's watch this again. Let's watch the fastest time ETC has ever died in the history of Heroes of the Storm. See you later. And look at this, man. They're pushing this hard. They're going to take the bot keep. And there's not much Big Gods can do about it. 17 seconds till Thrall comes up, and even when he does, he's not going to have Sundering.
Yeah, Mosh Pit's their only answer here, but it's too late because he now is going to be dead. So this is a huge turning point for Gale Force. Obviously, a keep is very a very big thing for them to be able to pick up, but the most important thing is they're the ones threatening a curse. And not only that, the boss is going to be up. So no matter where the curse spawns, they're in a positive situation. Yeah. See, it's going to spawn. So now if they get this, they get a boss, they get a curse together. If they don't, and their opponents want to go the opposite direction, they essentially, like, it's just a win-win. They can't lose here.
Well, they're not, they're obviously going to go for these bruisers first. Big Gods has to force a fight here. 10 seconds left on Sundering. That's going to be the way to engage. Big choke point here. Sundering's getting a lot of value. Same with that Mosh Pit. And Beto is up at the front. Ravelcopter taking a lot of damage. There's the Mosh! The Gust accomplishes nothing, and Mike Udall is out of position, but already a kill for Gale Force.
Yeah, huge Sundering coming out there. Great Ancestral as well. Mike Udall flanking the backline, though. 2 people already dead. 4 Big Gods. Looks like a third might die. Akaface with a Radiant Dash out of it. That's another reset here. And look at Crowan is not done. Neither is Mike Udall as they decide to try and chase Vieira away here, and he will be falling down. That's 4 people dead. This is going to be game, actually, I think.
I would say, I mean, this is
close.
This is the downside of fighting. Looks like Jay Shritta is going to try to grab this kill onto Fury. He's not actually able to do so. He's trying to bait him into that Phoenix there. With the keep already down with this curse, it's very likely to be game. I think you're right.
Not if that happens.
Well,
Mike Udall, though, going down here, risking his positioning a little bit too much. Are they going to decide to stay? No, they back out. Now wasting 20 seconds of their curse, taking the risky play and definitely getting hyphy with it.
Yeah, you know, Big Gods made the risk of trying to fight over that curse. They died and lost the curse. Now the boss wasn't taken either, and all they accomplished so far was losing Mike Udall.
Yeah,
that's not an accomplishment.
No, Gale Force Esports, actually, I feel like they could be threatening boss right now, forcing Big Gods to answer, and then essentially just delaying around that, forcing them to make a bad rotation. They have so much pressure on the map right now, right?
I don't even know if they're going to even get this keep. I don't think so.
No.
And this is something that we've already seen. Oh, hold that thought. A lot of damage going down onto Mariz here. Beto does jump in. And the Sundering is wasted, essentially, but they're still going on to Fury.
He's got a lot of DPS onto him, but Rafflecopter's in a bad position.
Oh,
Palm coming
wasted
out
Palm.
early.
They can actually capitalize on this, and down he goes. And this actually is going to be a big turnaround. Beto comes in. Akaface does avoid death.
But guess
there.
what? Look at the core. 96, 97, Giants coming in. Top wave is a whole lot of minions coming in as well. 85.
It's time to hearth
they have
home.
to back. They're going to try and delay them as best as they can here so they can't back. Mike Udall aggressing onto his opponents. 3 people are going to get the back uninterrupted, though, here. Tyfex as well trying to make something happen. So Gale Force Esports, that split push pressure I was talking about, because they didn't keep alive the Sylvanas long enough here, they didn't get as much out of it as they wanted to.
Yeah, I think we are seeing a trend in this best of 3 of Gale Force not capitalizing on advantages in the late game. Maybe just playing a bit too safe when it's not necessarily required. But they do hit 20 here. And Big Gods is going to need to split and soak and take this. They're scared because yet this time they don't have vision of the boss, and this time they are going to go check. And when they see no one here, it's risky to force it versus 20. I think they just have to walk away. But when they leave, Gale Force is also going to go down, rotating down. They already have Fury in position to check this. And it might just be a boss for a boss trade, but with 2 keeps down, that's obviously going to be better for Gale Force.
Yeah, it's game ending. With your core at 75%, they can't just go boss for boss. At this point, it is game ending. Either boss going in the hands of Gale Force Esports, they can win the game. They're going to have Mike Udall up here with his level 20 talents being picked up for him, threatening the upper half of the map here with Epic Mount, trying to bait it, but they do scout it out here for the first time. It feels like Big Gods understands in his scouting.
I mean, you know, Mike Udall could fly in at any time. I don't think that Gale Force necessarily has to give this boss up. They're going to wait for a good opportunity. Fury up here in front. Beto gets knocked in. Oh, and the Mosh is wasted. What a waste there. That was their only way to win this fight.
Their core is already being threatened, though. Thrall does end up backing. The Sundering is not going to be dodged by the barrel roll, but he's not going to be able to get on him.
He does not hit the Wolf. Nobody shit the Wolf. All right, here we go. Murray's going to get Ancestrals here, and they're going to go on Crowan. They're going to ignore the Palm for now, but he goes down, and Crowan will live.
Yeah, and that was the abuse of Mike Udall there, getting the Epic Mount flight over there with the Gust as well. So that's one person going to be going down. Vieira barely going to be able to survive with that Spirit Wolf form and walk away here. But now Gale Force has the opportunity to threaten the boss because there's immense pressure on Big God's core.
And this tribute is basically just a non-factor in this game. I don't think we're going to see a curse with this. I think Big Gods has to get a wipe to win this game, and they don't have any of their engages. They're going to try to steal this, though, and it's not going to happen. Look, Gale Force in perfect position. Down goes Kael'thas. Vieira is going to be the next to fall, it looks like. It's actually ETC. The Palm does go off here, and that should be game.
Yeah, that's going to be it. Vieira is going to be falling as well, getting the dance out here with his team. And Gale Force Esports here secures this series, but maybe not as convincingly as I feel like they expected going into this.
They falter, but they do not fall
in
this series. And in this situation, obviously, they're just going to waltz across and destroy this core. A very tough-fought series, not an easy one for them, much harder than they expected, but they do hold together when it matters most. And there you go, GG. Gale Force will take the last series of the evening.
They get it, and I feel like you can see just on their faces here that they aren't necessarily the most proud of the situation that they've kind of losing the game, and also all of them being as close as they were. But they do walk away with the victory here, the big W. And I
think a lot was learned about Gale Force in that series. Obviously, their reluctance to move away from their comfort picks. Some of their overcommitment to safety in the late game, but still very strong play, good team fighting, and Mike Udall is showing again he might have the biggest hero pool in this tournament.
Yeah, he definitely might. And also, we talked about like kind of the obvious struggles that's happened when it comes to the travel of Gale Force here. I mean, Alka was talking about he feels like he hasn't like slept in days for that matter because of how long they've been traveling.
Yeah.
So I do hope to see, as this tournament moves on, I guess I feel like a more refined version of them. Obviously, they didn't play perfectly, but I feel like they are a better team than what we saw today.
Yeah, I think so. And tonight it's time to go home. You know, for Mike and Aka, it might be time to like play some scrims and like get a bit more warmed up. But everyone else is going to get their first real night of sleep, I'd say. It's just like they've been here all day, and then whenever you have your day after travel, you don't get the best night's sleep. But the second day you get it, Mike could get some sleep, Aka could get some sleep. And I do think that they have a big future going out of this group. I
agree. I think they have a lot of potential as a group, and I hope to see it just kind of slowly honed in to be something better than we saw in that first series.
Well, in a few moments, we are going to jump over to an interview. It looks like they are ready for it. So take it away, Kendrick, with the interview.
Thank you very much, Wolf. But before we get started with those interviews, I want to ask my North American co-analyst here, on a scale from 1 to 6.5 out of 10, how excited are you about the victory of Gale Force Esports here?
I don't think I can express like the amount of enthusiasm and excitement in the studio alone. I mean, we're back in production, and people are literally screaming watching these games. I mean, they're from all over. They're from Sweden. They're all over for production. People are literally screaming watching this game. It's just unbelievable, this 3-game set.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was very, very excited about Gale Force being able to clinch it out, but I also want to give a shout out to Big Gods because they really impressed me this series.
If you had to highlight something coming out from Big God's color, what would it be?
Well, they lost it with the ETC face check in the bush and getting blown up. We saw already instant replay there. I feel Big Gods definitely made a huge stand here. They showed that they're here not only to get slaughtered, but really to force opponents down. And they were really close in Game 2 and Game 3 to win it. So I'm very, very impressed.
Yeah. And once again, another nail-biter game here. I mean, clutch team fight after clutch team fight. So, Jay-How, why don't you take us to highlight number 1?
If Gale Force likes to do something, they like to create excitement in their games. So we're going to show you a couple of those here. But this is one in particular. Let's already pause right now. This is where positioning is key. We're going to see Typhix actually come down. And we might be trying to get that drawn in just a little bit. He's going to come in that direction, and he's really going to split. We're going to go ahead and run this forward as we see this start to play out. This is Typhix, and you're going to actually see a Sunder come in and try and split the team right there. And the minute he does this, you're actually going to see the team get completely split, Gale Force. But the return Wailing Arrow just creates this huge moment. Divine Palm comes in the middle of all this. Just huge Ancestral, just barely lands. And you can see just so much action that takes place here. But the back and forth between these teams, when we talk about excitement, this is what we are looking for between these two teams.
Something that impressed me this series, too, is what Big Gods had was pretty similar to game number 1, and we talked about that, being able to interrupt Mosh Pit, making sure they don't get too distracted by Muris on Greymane in the back line. But they made the adjustments. They got Karzim instead of Brightwing. They were making sure to save something to interrupt Mosh Pits, and that was a lot more pivotal. So they were able to make sure not to make the same mistakes.
There was the delay there. Both teams were at 10, and Li Ming and ETC both just waited.
Like, what are you going to do?
They're like, no, you go first. No, you go first. No, you, me? Whatever, let's just go. Mosh pit.
Early game was actually, like, I feel really strong for the Big Gods, and then later on you could really see that Gale Force was able to just like concentrate a lot more.
Yeah.
They had a lot of traps set up, and most of them worked out quite well. And I guess we're probably going to see in one of the highlights that you selected for us again, that ETC being blown to pieces. For me, that was a bit of a turning point there.
I was going to say, more than 50% HP on an ETC within milliseconds. Let's see if it's actually coming up now in the next replay.
There was actually a couple. We left that one to the in-game one, which was pretty exciting. I think a lot of people definitely love that one. But we're going to take a look right here in particular. And this is around once again. Now, here's ETC one more time. Let's go ahead and leave him. Look how much damage he gets taken right in the middle of the fight. The mosh pit comes out. We'll go ahead and pause it real quick. And instantly, we just missed it, but he got blown up. Let's go ahead and move it forward. We see Michael Udall off on the side, trying to keep track, allowing for that to come in with that Mighty Gust. But ETC, that was the second time, I believe. And then the double stun right there coming in from the Storm Bolt. I mean, this was just huge plays over and over. Caldor, you talked about the late game really favored Gale Force. These are the moments where that happened.
Yeah, and also in that situation, we still see that Rega had actually his ancestor already, so he could have used that too. Keeping ETC at the front line is just like incredibly important if you want to win these fights, and every single time they managed to do that, they gave Gale Force a run for their money, but ETC dying in these engagements early on, of course, opens up everything else.
And now I think we can slowly but surely approach the golden moment. My personal highlight of this entire series, Jay Howe, talk us through it, man.
I mean, there's just so much that happened, I think, with this match in particular. It almost looked bad when we saw Falstad go in. But this was the boss moment right here. Let's go ahead and pause right now. So far in that power slide went in real deep coming in from ETC, but we'll go ahead and run this forward just a little bit. This is a last-ditch effort. They're down 20-19, and they're trying to stay on point. But let's go ahead and pause it one more time. Look at the damage right across here. All three members extremely low. Thrall way up in the middle of nowhere, not able to join the fight in time. We'll go ahead and run it forward just a little bit. But on the backside, the resets coming in from Krohn, allowing him to make those plays, ETC, and you can see already just problems galore. We see the stasis coming in from the Divine Palm, just keeping everybody alive. Just so much happening. And for good measure, let's go ahead and have Rafflecopter go ahead and, or excuse me, Michael Udo, go ahead and fly on over. But talking about Rafflecopter, he kind of distracted me, snuck up on stage here. How's it going?
It's all right. How you guys?
Doing good, man. You guys create some excitement.
You certainly gave us a nice show here on screen, so we're feeling really pumped up and good right now. Thank you, Raffle. But it was a very exciting match. Did you actually expect Big Gods to play as well as they did? Or what was the reason why this series was so clutch?
Well, we watched the previous games and we saw everyone else had a 2-0, so we wanted to give like the crowd a good game. So we had to throw the first game, obviously. But no, in all seriousness, like two of our players haven't played in 5 days and they're like super jet lagged and just not a lot of chemistry there when everyone's like tired and dead. So.
Right.
Let's talk about your schedule just a little bit. We saw you guys just a week ago take Burbank. You took down Naventic. You were obviously riding a high, but you obviously had to fly back home. Everybody's all across the country, and then you turn right around and leave for Sweden. We saw Akaface walking around here. It looked like he hasn't slept in days. Now, what type of support did you guys give when they arrived? Like, what you guys have camaraderie, I think, that's rivaled by none. When they arrived, you see Michael, you see Aka, they come in. What are you talking about trying to rally the team just moments before, an hour before you guys go on?
Yeah, so like the big thing about our like team is just like positive vibes, and we just try to like radiate off each other, I guess, to a certain extent. And just like everyone's just like really giddy and happy. Like I don't know if you see us before games, but we're like rapping and stuff, and just like listening to music videos and stuff, just trying to have like a good time before we get into the game.
Raffle, you guys were going back and forth with Leeming and Kael'thas to some degree too with Big Gods. And even picking Kael'thas over Leeming, which I swear I've maybe never seen you guys do. So can you tell us maybe a little bit about the thought process going in with those two heroes?
So on Tomb, like we need to have like a little bit of wave clear. So that was like the main reason why we picked KT on that map. I mean, you know, if we already had like more wave clear, we probably would have went Leeming, but we just needed KT for the wave clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking a little bit about like, well, you mentioned already the travel problems that you guys had, but that aside, did you expect Big Gods to be that good? Do you feel like they played better than expected here, considering that especially at the Spring Championship, they didn't really have a huge impact onto the group stage?
Yeah, we definitely underestimated them a little bit. I mean, I think in addition with like the jet lag and just what I mentioned previously, I think it was like a combination of factors, and they really caught us off guard game one.
Did you guys get scared after the first one? I mean, like the second game was pretty close too. At some point, you might have sat there and said like, well, we could actually lose this right now.
I mean, like, our draft was pretty crazy game one too. Like, we were wild. We were wild game one. That's all you can say. But like, we were a little frightened. I mean, personally, I was like a little scared, but you know, we rallied back up together. And that comes back to our team dynamic. Like, we're just good vibes. Yeah.
So, Ruffle, you know you're going to face Mind Sanity in the winners match. They are on a roll. They're performing really well over the last couple of weeks and months. Is there anything you have in store for them? How are you going to prepare for this upcoming match against Mind Sanity?
They can expect not to get Monk.
Have you met Splendor yet?
I just heard he had like a 15-game like win streak with Monk. Or something
I think it's up
yeah.
like 16.
16?
It's incredible.
It's pretty crazy.
You probably don't want him to have that. Can't let him have that.
Okay, cool. So thank you very much, Rufflecopter, and once again, congratulations on making it to the winners match. Definitely interesting to see how you guys are going to prepare yourselves now that you have a little bit of time, right? You can now scrim, relax, and gather yourselves. So thank you very much for your time. And without further ado, we're actually going to take a look at the updated group situation that we find ourselves in after witnessing a lot of entertaining best of threes. MVP Black in Group A leading together with their Chinese counterparts, X Team. And of course, Renovatio is going to play in the losers match against Negative Synergy. Over on the other side, we see Group B led by Gale Esports after a tough 2-1 victory against Big Gods and Mind Sandy. They're still looking dominant. They're strong. And of course, they won against PBA, also known as Please Buff Arthur. So as you guys probably found out already, if you did a little bit of research, we're going to go into another day of Heroes of the Storm tomorrow, focusing on Group A, however. So there's going to be a winners match, a losers match, and then last but not least, of course, a deciders match to determine who's actually going to advance to group stage number 2.
I think the cool part about all of this is the fact that you look at the winners and the winners bracket alone in the group stage. That has potential to be incredible games. The amount of talent that's in those winners brackets alone, and now we saw Big Gods. I mean, the potential for them to come back in. I love the fact that we get My Insanity, Gale Force, X Team, all of these. It's crazy right now.
And A versus EU. It's going to happen again. I mean, I love the region banter. It's always fun. And I mean, I really hope at this point that I'm either going to cast it with you or with Dread, because that would be absolutely hilarious. But those are the games that we really... These are the games that I'm really love, because like you always have like the region banner going on, and we had to a certain extent maybe today, but like when you talk about the Western scene, it's always North America versus Europe, and let's face it, that match is going to be awesome.
Let's go. That match is going to be awesome, but also we'll see if X Team has learned from their last match versus MVP Black, and they're able to bring it to MVP Black a little bit more, especially since MVP has not looked as dominant as they have for a long time.
They took it slow game 1, Gilly. Remember,
They
said they were taking it slow game 1.
And
no role swaps, though.
No role swaps, but...
I was a little bit disappointed by that. I mean,
Me too.
I did not expect them to really seriously role swap for the later stage of the tournament. I didn't expect that when I saw that comment or that interview. I was just like, yeah, right. But like, for the first games, I could have seen that. Maybe like not the entire team like completely going wild, but you know, like 1 or 2 years. So I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't give us that show. But I guess they wanted to have the 2 over there, so yeah.
So, boys and girls, let's actually wrap it up for today and take a final look at the bracket to see what you guys can expect coming up for the next 2 days. As I mentioned earlier, Group A is, in this case, okay, Group B is, of course, going to be the focus relatively soon, with Mind Sandy, of course, duking it out between themselves and Gale Force Esports in the winners match fairly soon, and in the loser bracket, we see, of course, PBA and the Big Gods. Very cool matches to come here for sure. I'm pretty sure we also have, do we have a bracket for Group A here as well? Let's just... No?
I just really want to see Big Gods play again. Right? They impressed me today.
Yeah.
I mean, more than anybody.
We could
even see a rematch. That's what's awesome.
Yeah, it could absolutely happen. But we don't have a bracket for you about Group A right now, but of course it's going to be the winners match between MVP Black and X Team, so the Asian grudge match, so to speak. It's going to be very interesting to see how the overlords from Far East are going to play.
There's not too much grudging going on over there. That's pretty much so far Korea just stopping everybody.
And in the losers match, of course, for Group A, we have Renovatio, one from the Philippines, against Negative Synergy from Australia. So also, that's actually, we have a lot of couples from the same region, don't we?
Yeah.
I think it makes for excitement to have that familiarity and possibly just the rival that we talked about. We'll talk about that later, Caldor.
I need to also give the Aussies a little bit of support here, I have to say, when we're talking about that. So when it comes to that, I'm definitely for the Aussies there.
Yeah, those two teams are really good friends too, so I'm sure they're sad that they're playing each other, but it'll be fun at the same time.
Shout out to everybody from Melbourne, by the way. Sorry, Sydney.
Well, I think it's a good moment to actually wrap it up and to throw out a big thank you to everybody who has tuned in for the first day of the Heroes of the Storm Summer Championship. We had a blast, and I hope you did as well, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and can't wait to see you guys tomorrow again and welcome you back to the second day.